Hello, and today I'm joined by Anita, who is the co-founder of Toronto Pig Save and the executive director of the Animal Save movement. She'll also be doing a lot of work with the Plant-Based Treaty, campaigning for them. Today we're talking a bit about plant-based food benefits on the environment. And Anita, I want to ask you, what are the most critical environmental benefits that a widespread shift to a plant-based lifestyle offers the planet?
The, when you talk about the planetary boundaries, food impacts all of the planetary boundaries, and in some cases, it's the number one impact. So, for climate change, a third of the greenhouse gases come from the food sector, and if people switch to a plant-based food system, that would massively reduce greenhouse gases. But then there are other planetary boundaries, like fresh water use. If we switch to a plant-based diet, we could reduce fresh water use by globally by 20%. Another huge issue is land use. In fact, scientists like George Monbiot says that's the number one environmental issue. And when it comes to land use, it is food that impacts deforestation the most. 90% of global deforestation is because of the food system, mainly meat, dairy, and eggs. So that's another one. But there are other ones like biogeochemical flows, like phosphorus and nitrogen. Even the stratospheric ozone is being depleted by nitrous oxide, which is a greenhouse gas, which is used a lot for fertilization for animal feed. So if you look at all the planetary boundaries, it really affects, the 9 planetary boundaries, which I have here in this photo flyer.
Wow.
So yeah, so yes, it's really the number one cause of the breach of most of the planetary boundaries. In fact, 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries are in the danger zone. When you look at fossil fuel use, it only impacts climate change. But when you look at food, it impacts all these other planetary boundaries.
hmm And with us being in a climate disaster at the moment, would you say that going on a plant-based diet is one of the best things that individually we can do?
Yes, it could impact it in 2 big ways. So moving to a plant-based diet reduces greenhouse gas emissions because a lot of greenhouse gas emissions come from raising cows, goats, sheep, and other animals, and from greenhouse gas emissions from fertilizer use and so forth. But in a second way, it also impacts land use. So if everyone went plant-based, you could reduce the amount of farmland used by 75%. So currently, around the globe, 4 billion hectares is used for agriculture. And if people went plant based, you could reduce it by 75% and only use 1 billion
hmm
hectares and reforest the land. And then that would also absorb the carbon dioxide and bring us back to a safe and just zone.
And I wanted to ask you a bit more about your personal journey with veganism. What were the original reasons that you went vegan?
So I went vegetarian because of ethics. So in the 90s,
hmm
I saw a film called The Animals Film. It's a British film that was graphic. It was the first of its kind in terms of being very graphic, and that sort of made me go vegetarian in the 90s. But then when I was teaching at a university, a student group confronted me and said, "Well, that's hypocritical. You need to go vegan." And then I researched the impact of um, the dairy industry on veal. I wasn't aware that the veal industry was the result of the dairy industry, and I as soon as I learned that, then I went vegan. So it was for ethical reasons.
Did you face any challenges when you first went vegetarian or vegan?
Um, because it was an ethical impulse. It was quite immediate. So no, I didn't face any major challenges. I thought it was going to be difficult with cheese because I really
hmm
like cheese on pizza, but it turned out not to be difficult because your taste buds change in 20, 30 days, and then you
Yep.
find dairy abhorrent. So it was wonderful in terms of not being difficult. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So all the things that you used to like I used to salivate at the sight of a pork roast, but now I find it absolutely disgusting. So it's like
Yeah.
for multiple reasons, even at a visceral level of smell, but obviously at an ethical level as well. So yeah, it's quite a switch. So if people can just be strong and determined for 30 days,
Yep.
the switch is very easy to an
Yeah,
ethic.
it gets easier and easier over time, basically.
100%. Yeah, there's
All
no
right,
effort at this point. Yeah.
exactly. Thank you so much, Anita. It's been great chatting with you today, and this will be great content for Why Go Vegan Challenge. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.